Shalom, this is Rabbi Yitzchak Levi unveiling Torah truth on a weekly basis. This week's Torah portion is called tetzaveh, to command. Tzaveh versus tetzaveh is to command, based on Exodus 27:20 and all the way to 30 and verse 10. The word tetzaveh, we have Hebrew words that pertain to bar mitzvah, ben mitzvot, tzavah, which is the armed forces, military, and mitzvot, which is commands. They're all kind of from the same root word. We'll begin with midot u mitzvot, character and deeds. This is something that not many people talk about, is deeds. Everybody wants to teach about faith, but very few want to talk about deeds. Character and deeds. Character are the commands between man and God, and deeds are the commands between man and man. So we have the two tablets of stone, which give us the division and our place in this relationship between man and God and man and man. This parasha describes the purpose of wearing your best clothes for God. They are for glory and splendor. Just as a person was invited to the king's celebration, one would not wear sneakers or work common clothes, but would go and dress his or her best for the king. And why do you ask? Why do people go before God on Shabbat and they'll wear their stained or common work clothes for Shabbat? Should they not present themselves with splendor and with glory? Isn't this what God's heart, the heart of a father for his sons, is it not? To make us kings and priests. In order for us to understand the Mishkan, we need to study the Mishkan from a separation point of view. To do this, we must start from Bereshit, Genesis, the first separation in creation. And then we move to the holiest of holy, going backwards. From the holiest of holy, we're going to be going backwards. Going backwards from the Holy of Holies will take us to the holy place. Then, if we keep going backwards, we'll go to the courtyard. And then if we continue to walk, we'll be going out of the courtyard into the open vast of the world. Then we need to trace the world to its beginning. When God began to create, we find a replica of our own universe. Right from the beginning, we find it was based on separation and division. So we need to understand that the first Mishkan was built not by men but by God. And he built a holy of holy Mishkan in the greater Mishkan, which is our planet Earth, and even in a greater part of the Mishkan, which is the universe. So here we have the three dimensions of the Mishkan, which is the Holy of Holies, the holy place, the courtyard, and the world. Genesis 1, verse 3-5. The creation of God was about separation, light from darkness. So in the beginning, there was darkness everywhere. We will call it the world part. But there was no name given to it. It was dark. Only after the bright light was commanded, only then the darkness and light got their names. And their names, of course, were day and night. It was as if the light and darkness took turns. They were different, yet they were the same. Genesis 1, verse 14. The luminaries were given to separate time. The best time of the day to see the two working as one is in the twilight and in the dawn, where one gives room to the other. That is only possible for us to see after the fourth day of creating the sun the moon, and the stars. We only have an idea of the light before the sun. I contend that the light for the first 4 days was no other than Yeshua's light. He told us, I am the light of what? Of the world. The separation of water from water speaks of making space for man to live in. Just as the roof over the Mishkan sets a boundary for the dwellers of the Mishkan. You look up and what do you not see? You do not see the luminaries in the sky. Instead, you see 6-branch menorah, which are attached to the middle one, which makes it a total of 7. It is the menorah that gives the light in the Mishkan instead of the sun and the moon. And what else do you see? You see the actual curtain that causes the separation from that which is common to that which is most holy, the Holy of Holies. The one person allowed in this room is only the high priest, 1 day a year called Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. How it is connected to this veil, it's amazing. The one person allowed is the high priest. He has to be dressed in white clothes, nothing but white. It speaks of purity, holiness. It portrays the pureness of the first light that came before the sun was created. He was dressed as the light, the aura of that which once was. Matthew 10:34. Yeshua himself said, I did not come to bring shalom. What? What did you come for? Oh, I did not come to bring unity. I came to bring sword and separation and division. From who? From father to son, from daughter to mother, from husband to wife, in relatives. Yeshua brought a sword, a division, a separation. That does not sound very Christian-like, does it? So what is Yeshua telling us today? Exodus 27:20. To bring pure, beaten oil. There is a cost for those who wish to be the pure oil for God's word, for God's menorah. When I was born and raised in Israel, but when I took my wife to live there for 5 years, I took her to the Arab villages where they still extract oil the old biblical fashion way. And we see how they bring the olives unadulterated, untouched, not washed or nothing, just put on the basin of that oil press. And big heavy rock comes and crushes everything, the seed and the pulp of it, everything. And what comes out is this beautiful milk, white milk, which is the extra virgin olive oil. It comes out not as green, but as white milk. The land of milk and honey. I contest that it's not talking about cow's milk or horse milk. I contend that this land of milk and honey is no other than the milk of the olives. That is what was the branch that Brother Aaron had. It was obviously one of almonds, but it just shows us the native tree and the fame of the olive tree for all its purposes, cosmetics, medicinal, for the menorah, for healing, for anointing. Unbelievable amounts we can extract from this olive tree. And yes, there is a cost. There is a crushing in the process. And then, after the milk comes out, it's taken. And then what happens to it? It's beaten. It's beaten to make it perfectly acclaimed and fitting kasher for the menorah to burn. Yes, in this life, we may have to endure pain, persecution, and possibly death. I speak from experience of enduring pain, beatings, ridicule, abuse, and even imprisonment for my faith in Yeshua. From no other, not from the Arabs, not from the world, but from my own people. Much like Yeshua was condemned and betrayed, and false accusation brought him to the very cross. It was his people who let him down. John 1:11, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. Just like Joseph endured pain from his own people, sold for a price, and delivered dead as it were to his very own father, lying about the outcome of his son. But if we live by faith with hope, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hope is around the corner for all believers, and the reward is so much greater than anything this world has to offer us. But the prize is only given to those who endure to the end. In John 1:11, Yeshua states, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. Just like Joseph endured the pain from his own people, his very own brothers. But if we live by faith with hope, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hope is just around the corner, and the reward is so much greater than anything this world has to offer. Since the Mishkan is a replica of God's creation, we can find the creation steps repeated. The lesser light that was seen on Mount Sinai and the letter on top of Mishkan points to the light of the first day of creation. Before the sun and before the moon, we have an example that even before the menorah. So, the first day states, let there be light. The darkness is the unspoken word from God. That's darkness. The light is the spoken word from God. While the light may be viewed as a separation from the darkness, I see it as light and darkness working together as one. So there's times to speak and there's times not to speak. The second day is about division and separation. God is demonstrating this when separating the olives from the tree, extracting the oil from the olives. The Levites are separated from Israel. The Kohanim are separated from the Leviim, the Levites. And yes, there is pain and crushing associated with this separation. Number 3, the division of the waters in Bereshit, Genesis, represents Israel coming out of Mitzrayim, Egypt. They were commanded together in one place. Mount Sinai, it speaks of the first Adam being formed out of the earth. Adam became the first earthen altar of God. The nation of Israel is called the sea, and God saw that it was good. Just like you bring all the olives from all the village into one place to be extracted, Israel was taken out of the darkness and brought into one place to be renewed, to be elevated from slaves into possibly a kingdom of priests and kings. Number 4, let there be light in the heavens. The light of God on top Sinai was seen by 3 million people. Hebrews and a mixed multitude in Mount Sinai, while the first light of creation was not witnessed by any humans or any living creatures. In the Mishkan, the lights were the menorah that lit the dark room. Genesis 1, 15 and 16. And the lights were given to Moshe in the form of 2 tablets inscribed by the very finger of God. Why? Because He is fire. Psalm 119, 130. The entrance of thy words giveth light. It giveth understanding unto the simple. It is repeated again in Psalm 6 and 23, Psalm 19, 8, and Psalm 119, 105. The entrance of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. The 5th one, Genesis 1:20. The waters is Israel. They are to bring much fruit. The fowl are the Levites in the Mishkan. It was the Kruvim over the ark, and on the covering of the Mishkan, and on the curtains the various creatures are the mixed multitude that joined Israel from Mitzrayim, Egypt, as seen in the book of Acts chapter 10. In the Mishkan was a place for the foreigners, based on 2 Chronicles 6, 32 and 33. And all my scriptures are from the King James Version. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of thy people Israel, but is come from a far country, for thy great name's sake, and thy mighty hand, and thy stretched out arm, if they come and pray to this house, then please hear thou from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth to thee for, that all people on the earth may know thy name, and fear thee as doth thy people Israel, and may know that this house which I have built is called by thy name. The temple precinct was divided into 4 courts. Number 1, the court of the priests. Number 2, the court for Israel. Number 3, the court for the women. And number 4, the courts for the Gentiles. Same as the acronym of Pardes. Pardes broken into the 4 letters, P for Pashut, or the simple, the R for the Remez, hint, maybe a dream, D for Drash, to demand, to extract, and then the last one is S for Sod, secret, or in this case, revelation. Revelation is secret that comes from the throne of God to a person's intellect inside. He only knows, and unless he puts it in pen, it can be kept there forever. It's a secret. The same is as the Torah. It has 4 books. They apply to the common, to the intellect, to the king, and the 4th one is to the priest. And while there are 613 commands, if you took 613 and added them together, it comes down to 10. But not all of them apply to any one person. Each category applies to the people and their category. So if you're a priest, the Torah has priestly duties. If you're a king, it has kingly duties. They are not for the priest. And if you are the farmer, neither the priests nor the king's commands are for you. If you're a woman, then you have your own laws. So that means that from the 613, there are laws that apply to different category. We're down to the number 6. 6. Ultimately, on the 6th day, God created man in his own image. In Mount Sinai, Moshe was made in the image of God. The Mishkan was the place where people learn about God. And what do we learn, and what is the function of this knowledge? Is it not for us to change? And change? There's pain in change. Like when babies' teeth grow, and then when they grow again from milk teeth to permanent teeth. So there's a certain amount of pain in serving God, but this pain is temporary because ultimately we're going to get our eternal rest. We learned that the face of Yeshua can be seen in the Mishkan. If you look aerially from the top, you look down onto the Mishkan, and yes, you will see the very face of Yeshua. That is why he told Israel, build me a Mishkan in the heart, in the center of my people. I am going to be the face that they're going to be looking to. And when we pray to God each and every morning, do we not pray, shine your face upon us? All 3 compartments portray Yeshua's face. From the Holy of Holies shows us the brain, the place of the Spirit. Moving down or going backwards to the holy place, we have the menorah, and we have the table of showbread. Each one represents one of the eyes. We have the earthly eye of Yeshua as he represents himself. I am the bread of the world. The next eye, the menorah, represents Yeshua's divinity eye, where he sees as God. Now, of course, you ask, what about the ark of incense? Shouldn't the nose be below the eyes? No, this is only the channel. This is where smell comes. It is above the eyes, and it is right before the membrane that goes into the brain. So that Mishkan that has the curtain in front of the altar of incense is the membrane. This is where incense is taken and walked around through the curtain to the brain, to the Holy of Holies. So it's perfectly imaged that we have the brain, the altar of incense, the menorah, and the bread, both representing Yeshua watching over us, neither sleeps nor slumbers. That's why it's called Lechem Panim, the bread of the face. And when the Kohen Gadol blesses Israel, he mentions the face twice. And then coming down from there, we go to the place of we go to the place as we go backwards into the courtyard. And there is the altar, the brazen altar. Brazen speaks of fire. It speaks of the mouth that consumes the blood of the sacrifice. So, yes, Yeshua is the face in the Mishkan, and he wants to dwell amongst us. But once Israel has offered the golden calf, he orders Moshe, take my Mishkan and move it outside of Israel. I cannot live in this neighborhood. They are stiff-necked. Eventually, when we walk in God's precepts, we become in the image of God. Number 7, and the final day of the week. On the 7th day of creation, God rested in Mount Sinai. On the 7th day, Aaron and sons were inaugurated in the image of God, which is Yeshua. In the Mishkan, all Israel rested with their God on the seventh-day Shabbat. Now listen, God said He is holy. That should be our benchmark. Holy means to be separated from the unholy. Sometimes holiness means to be alone, as many of the prophets were. We find a nation that is alone in the world, and I speak the nation of Israel. No matter how the Jews try to fit in the world, and they try to compromise, and they try to be like them, the world hates them. The Jews were supposed to be the aura, the light of the world, based on their allegiance to God. Naaseh v'nishma. We will do and we will hear. They told God, we will do, we will be the light of the world, and then we will listen, we will study, we will learn and glean from your instructions in the Torah. Job 23:13. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desireth, even that he doeth. Speaks of God, that once God makes up his mind, who can change it? 1 Kings 8:27. But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built for you? And again in 2 Chronicles 2:6, but who is able to build him a house, seeing the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain? Who am I then that I should build him a house, save only to burn sacrifice before him? As we come to the conclusion of this Torah portion, let us understand, God does not want buildings. He does not want sacrifice. He wants us, the ultimate temple that He fashioned for Himself. And He breathed His Spirit. His Spirit is the Holy Spirit into our spirit. And obedience is all that He is asking from us. No blood sacrifice. And so, until next time we meet again, Shalom, shalom.